So most of you here on Darren Daily are probably about my age, plus or minus 20 years on either side. And that is still beyond the wonderful youthful innocence and exuberance of our early 20s. You remember those years? That was when we thought we could do anything, we could be anything, and accomplish anything. We dreamed big dreams, and we made great proclamations about what we were going to do in life. Looking back, maybe ignorance, or whatever you want to call it, is not only bliss, but it's also productive. I told the story in The Compound Effect about how, in the attempt to expand my associations, I would drive an hour and a half crossing 2 bridges to spend time in one of the richest and most beautiful spots on the planet, Tiburon in Marin County, north of San Francisco. I would go to Sam's on the Wharf. The food was okay, but more importantly, the restaurant was popular with the area's more affluent residents. While I was there trying to win friends and gain new influential associations, I'd sit on the wharf deck there and I'd just look up at the hillside, just mesmerized by the multi-million-dollar houses that hung off the cliffs. I'd fantasize, asking myself, if I could have just any one of those, which one would I pick? The answer was always the same, this beautiful blue one. It had the perfect perch with a sweeping vista view, the best of the bunch for sure. I said to myself, and only to myself because otherwise I might have been institutionalized, that one day I'm going to have a house on that hill. Which is nuts, right? Because I was maybe 21, 22 years of age at the time? Yeah, right. Well, you probably already know the rest of the story. Years later, maybe 3 or 4, leaving Sam's after brunch and starting my long trek back to the other side of the tracks, I saw an open house sign and I thought it'd be fun to check it out. One sign led to another and I followed them up, zigzagging up a long hillside on those narrow streets. I finally reached the very tip top of the hill and arrived at the home that was being advertised. As I entered and walked out to the balcony, the world just opened up in front of me. I could see the entire peninsula tip of Tiburon, which looks like Monaco from that vantage point, over all these beautiful sailboats that were dancing on the water there. And across was Angel Island, and across behind it was Berkeley and the East Bay, and in the distance you could see the Bay Bridge that just kind of strung out like a harp. And I could see the muffin top of Alcatraz, and the entire San Francisco skyline was sprawled out in front of me like a finely set table. It looked as if I could just kind of reach out and touch it. It was spectacular. Suddenly I realized where I was, that this was the very house that I'd been looking at all these years, dreaming about. This was the Blue House. Thankfully, my commitment to personal development and working hard on my associations had been working, so I was able to sign the contract on the spot, and my dream house became mine. This is just like the Jim Carrey story that you might remember, right? Jim grew up so poor that for a time his family lived in a Volkswagen van on his relative's lawn. But Jim still dreamed big dreams. Every night, Jim would drive atop a large hill that looked out over Los Angeles. He visualized being a highly paid actor, even though at the time he was a broke and struggling young comic. One night in 1990, while looking down on Los Angeles and dreaming of his future, Jim wrote himself a check for $10 million and put in the memo for acting services rendered. He dated the check for Thanksgiving 1995, and he stuck it in his wallet. He gave himself 5 years, and just before Thanksgiving 1995, he received the contract for $10 million for the movie Dumb and Dumber. Incredible, right? What's the moral of this story here? It is to remember, to us experienced folks, that we need to be reminded to dream again. What's happened? What's happened to that innocent exuberance, all those wide eyes and crazy big dreams that we used to have, right? Well, life happened probably. Obligations, mortgages, soccer games, and recitals. Maybe you got kicked in the shins a few times, and now you're a bit twitchy and a little gun-shy. Maybe you're just freaking tired. But you remember the message from yesterday, right? It is demand that brings out our extraordinary capabilities. We don't do what we want to do. We only do what we have to do. We have to turn our wants into musts again. We don't have that ignorant bliss of our younger years, so we have to forcibly shove ourselves out of our tired and comfortable stupor. We need to raise ourselves up by the demands of our big dreams and turn our wants into musts with a little peer and public pressure. So tell us, what is the fantastical dream that you have that you are serious about? Not just something that you think we want to hear. but is sincerely something that stirs your heart and ignites a fire in your belly. Share it and then declare it in the comments below.
Hey Darren Daily community, do you want to reignite your dreams, but maybe you need just a bit more direction on where to start? Well, Darren wants to help you get started. So you heard him talk about his book, The Compound Effect, today. This book has helped to completely transform the lives of countless members of our community. Just like Mitzi, who went from being a single mom of 5 on state assistance to growing a 6-figure income. She says that she applies the compound effect to every area of her life. Or there's Matthew, who says that the compound effect has helped him to create new habits in his life, and he's lost 77 pounds so far. Well, Darren wants to buy you a copy of The Compound Effect. Yes, really, he's going to pay the publisher the cost of a beautiful hardbound copy, and all you have to do is just cover the postage to get it to you. Now, you can access your special gift to help reignite your dreams by going to thecompoundeffect.com/VIP gift. Now, we have a limited supply in our personal inventory, so hurry and get your copy before they're gone. I cannot wait to hear your fantastic success story, too.